Noriko Boulevard, and this is Uncut News. Before we begin, do you have something you want to leak without revealing your identity? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at telephone number 659 6151. The Rona not only has the possibility to cost many lives, it could also cost us a lot of money. And according to the IDB, the whole response may even cost the government over US $1.25 billion. The IDB reported this after the government requested a loan for US $34 million. The bank noted that the tax relief measures introduced during the pandemic would amount to US $96 million for an estimated combined total of approximately 3.1% of the gross domestic product in 2020. To support these measures, the government is pursuing millions in loans from multilateral organizations and other development partners, the IDB being one of them. 4 of the 5 men responsible in large part for the extreme levels of corruption in this nation met this midday for a working lunch to discuss national development and, well, I guess whatever other stuff former commander-in-thieves chat about over fancy food taxpayers pay for. It was only 4 people in attendance because Granger declined, probably out of the irrational fear that they'd dig 2 hot slops in his ass the second he stepped foot into State House. Nevertheless, Granger said he was not coming because there was no agenda set for the meeting, and the government first needed to address several concerns about some of its actions since taking office. While the meeting was held in the name of inclusive governance, the president says he does not intend to meet with Harman until Harman recognizes the legitimacy of his presidency. Here's a story that flew under the radar. We are now one step closer to having an actual road connecting us with Brazil. On Friday, the Caribbean Development Bank approved funding for the upgrading of 121 kilometers of road from Linden to Mabera Hill. The US $190 million project is being funded by a US $112 million loan from the CDB, $66 million from the Brits, and the government itself had to cough up $12 million. According to the CDB, this is the largest project they've ever financed. The unpaved 450-kilometer road from Linden to Lethem is often impassable in the rainy season since it's actually a muddy path and not much of a road. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's car of the day. Currently on sale is this 2015 Suzuki SX4 S-Cross. It comes with all-grip 4-wheel drive, steering controls, TV, navigation stereo, crystal lights, mudguards, fog lamps, and much more. Pay cash for $5.1 million, or pay down as low as $1,020,000 with around $98,000 monthly, and it's yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit their showrooms at Lot 171 Peter Rowe Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamar Street, and tell them Noriko sent you for this sweet deal. On Monday, the High Court released Sheldon Bowen after spending over 3 years behind bars for a murder charge. Bowen was charged with the fatal stabbing of 44-year-old Mark Eiffel during an argument at Puckettstown on April 25, 2017. After the state closed the case, his attorney said Bowen had no case to answer since the prosecution failed to disprove the case that Bowen was not acting in self-defense. According to his lawyer, Eiffel had came onto Bowen's property and attacked him over a stolen pipe, or at least accusations of such. Bowen, a father of 6, is expected to be home before Christmas. And on the topic of prisons, acting director of prisons, Claudian Samuels, has been sent on administrative leave with immediate effect. While we can't confirm the exact reason for why he's being sent home, it is understood that Samuels was made to take his 130 days of accumulated leave. With a budget tighter than Virgin Pokey, the government has been trying to get everyone, especially top officials, to take their accumulated leave. Deputy Director of Prisons Nick Lon Elliott is currently in charge. 1 week after 60-year-old contractor Peter Gonzalez was shot and robbed of his motorcycle, one of the alleged bastards responsible for this have been remanded for the crime. 28-year-old Kelsey Helliger of Kitty, Georgetown, Kelsey, girl's name. Kelsey Helliger of Kitty, Georgetown was charged yesterday with the murder. Police investigators were able to use video recordings from a number of CCTV cameras in the area, and the suspect was arrested and later identified by a witness during an identification parade. Helliger is expected back into court next month for sentencing. We are now in the height of robbery season. If I were you, I would consider getting security for the home of business. I personally recommend Sheriff Security Service. I find that they are the most professional, with well-trained armed or unarmed guards. Get some security this Christmas, people. The mother of the 6-year-old girl who was found unconscious on Saturday in East Kanji has confessed to beating the child senseless with a piece of wood. The admission came after intense interrogation from investigators, which I assume also involved the drawer. The 25-year-old mother reportedly struck the child to the back of the head and left her for dead because she continued to run around after being told not to. Yes, perfectly reasonable. Anyway, assuming that the lash killed her daughter, this genius ran home and played like she didn't know what happened. Anyway, the grandfather found the child in a swampy area about 500 feet from the house. The baby girl sustained a fractured skull, among other injuries, and remains in the intensive care unit at the Georgetown Public Hospital. It's now time for today's Rona Report. Today, the nation recorded 13 new cases. The total number of deaths now stands at 156. There are now 9 persons in the ICU and 621 persons in home isolation. The total number of known cases in the country is now 5,973. So, please, people, wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds, and remember to give 6 feet of space between you and others. Now, let's take a look at news in the region. The United Nations is telling Brazil to run them pockets. Brazil needs to make a minimum payment of US $113 million towards its total debt of US $391 million by the end of this month in order to keep its vote in the General Assembly. This is actually the second year in a row this has happened. According to UN rules, a country can actually lose its General Assembly vote if they owe more than 2 years of back dues, unless it can claim an exemption, as some smaller countries have done. But Brazil is a little bit too large for this arrangement. Anyway, Brazil's economy ministry said that a bill approving new payments will soon be voted on in Congress. This also makes Brazil the only country in the G20 to actually have experienced such an issue multiple times in a row. Check out Cellular Plus and get 50% off this DL3 Pro with a 5.5-inch screen, 32GB storage, and a 5-megapixel camera. Take advantage of this special Christmas offer and get a 30-day Prime bundle plan with your purchase. Get it now at Cellular Plus for just $12,000. Chile's President Sebastián Pinera said he will reject a bill to pardon citizens who are in police custody due to their participation in the protests that took place in October of last year. Claiming that the bill threatens public order, citizen security, and the rule of law, President Pinera announced that if necessary, he will use his veto powers to prevent the pardon's approval by the Senate. Supporters of the bill condemned the fact that hundreds of protesters are still in police custody without a charge, despite being arrested over a year ago. The proposal seeks to grant a general pardon on an exceptional basis to the protesters. According to reports, 648 people are still in police custody and 725 were officially convicted. And now for our weird news story of the day. Russians are up in arms after one health official warned them against drinking for 2 months if they intended to get vaccinated against the Rona. Head of Russia's consumer health watchdog Anna Popova told the media last week that people should stop drinking alcohol at least 2 weeks before getting the first of 2 injections. They should continue to abstain for a further 42 days, she advised. The advice ignited a firestorm of criticism from rum boogies and social drinkers alike, who said 2 months of no alcohol is considered unreasonable, especially since we're currently in the Christmas season, where just about any holiday is used as an excuse to drink. But if you do plan on imbibing, just know that while most health experts agree that drinking till you vomit is always a terrible idea, just a glass or 2 won't hurt. Moving on to our Uncut News viewers poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So you give your responses in the comments, and we'll read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, how do you feel about the charges against Ashni Singh and Winston Brasington being dropped? Colin Mendonca said, it's obvious that they are guilty of the crime. Just take a politician plus crime equals 100% guilty. Interesting math, Colin. Jay Jairam said they are guilty and it's politically motivated that the charges were dropped. Anjali Prasad said, I have a feeling they were guilty enough to not be free. And finally, Mark Shaw said, when PNC is ruling, they're above the law. When the PPP is ruling, they're above the law. This is how it goes. So, before we get to tonight's question, brighten up the holiday season and decorate your homes with new stock of vinylate, carpet, rubber towel, leatherette, glasswares, doilies, table plastic, rugs, and roll runner easy-to-clean carpet. Available in many colors, patterns, and designs to choose from. Beat the rush and enjoy the glorious days of shopping at Ravina's and Anand's. Ravina's and Anand's have unbeatable prices. For fast and comfortable shopping, visit them at Ravina's on 17A Water Street or Anand's at 108 Regis Street, or call them on telephone number 225-6595. Now for tonight's question. Over the past 2 months, several internationally recognized hotel chains have decided to set up shop in Guyana as the government seems to be encouraging tourism. But given the health risk associated with travel nowadays, do you think the government should consider developing other industries instead, or should they figure out how to make tourism Rona safe? Think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in Wednesday's episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bullford saying good night, folks. Hey, Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.